Well, this is Jared with Stampede Blue, and this is your Indianapolis Colts post-game wrap. The Colts got a marquee win on the road in Buffalo. Talk about a revenge game, by the way. Final score 41-15. My apologies. Colts are now 6-5, 3-2 on the road. Buffalo's now 6-4, 3-2 at home. Now, Carson Wentz, not the reason the Colts won, but a guiding force. 11 for 20, 106 yards, 5.3 yards per reception, had a touchdown, no interceptions, not sacked. Josh Allen, on the other hand, 21 of 35, 209 yards, two touchdowns, two interceptions, picked twice, sacked once. And Mr. Trubisky even got to play a little bit today, as did the Colts backup Sam Ellinger out of Texas, who has made more meaningful, has played more meaningful football than Jacob Eason will for the Colts anyway, right? But yeah, this day belongs to Jonathan Taylor. Let's just come out and say it. 204 yards of total offense, 32 carries, 185 yards, four touchdowns on the ground for young number 28, along with three catches for 19 yards and a touchdown. So, like I said, 204 yards of total offense, five total touchdowns. Was absolutely unstoppable. And then when you have guys that are so reliable like Jonathan Taylor, it really is going to allow other players to flourish. Um, and then, of course, uh, big wins like this aren't without costs. We see Darius Leonard's not quite himself. We see Quentin Nelson a little nicked up. And I think these are week to week things. This is just part of the war on attrition, right? That ultimately comes down to the health and wellness of your players, right? It's what we've been talking about all year long was about managing personnel better, right? And today, and lately, frankly, hats off to Frank Reich. The Colts appear to have righted the ship. Are now above 500. Are getting contributions. Obviously, games like Jonathan Taylor had kind of overshadow the sort of balanced attack and approach the Colts have. Um, there's a lot to feel good about. Defense, one of the best offenses in the NFL, only allowed 15 points and forced the Bills to use their backup. Um, so yeah, I think when the Colts do well and play almost a full half or a full game at a very high level, and kept their foot on the gas pedal today, and that's what you want to see, right? When you're winning, you know, 24-7 at halftime, a lot of times, they only score another 7 to 10 points a game. That's, in my opinion, the difference between good and great are teams that are more than happy to put a couple scores on the board in the second half just to solidify that victory. And for the Colts to put up 41 on a team they beat, on a team the Bills beat last year, for the Colts to sort of get that revenge now sort of sets a stage, right? In my eyes, the Colts are probably going to have to beat either or both of the Bills and Titans uh, if they're going to win the AFC, right? So obviously, it would have been really important to win one of those games against Tennessee that would make these games have less pressure, right? Because right now the Colts, in my eyes, are under a lot of pressure to continue to play at a high level and win. Um, but the wins wouldn't come as such a high cost, right? Where you're losing Darius Leonard and Quentin Nelson, not necessarily Darius Leonard or Quentin Nelson particularly, but where there's some attrition at like key positions. Fortunately, one of the things Chris Ballard has done very well is address depth at interior offensive line. So it's kind of goes without saying, like you'll always miss any meaningful football that Quentin Nelson doesn't play is a big deal. As long as he's healthy and happy and still interested in the sport, uh, as a general rule, you'd like to have him out there. But to avoid further injury, uh, yeah. Anytime Sam Ellinger and Kylan Granson are getting any meaningful snaps, the Colts are probably going to be doing all right. Um, so now, like I said, the Colts are 6-5, um, 5-1 in their last six, facing the Bucks a week from today. In a very winnable football game, flatly, because I don't think the Buccaneers are all they're cooked up to be, and that's frequent. That frequently happens, um, and I think it's set up nicely for the Colts to sort of emerge going to be a thorn in the side in the NFL for a long time. If guys like Kwity Paye and Deo pan out, that's a couple pass rushers that you had to have that you got. If the offensive line can just be healthy, the offensive line play has been really good lately. Um, Obviously, the emergence of Jonathan Taylor is something like we Colts haven't seen. I saw Joseph Adai's name mentioned a couple times today. Obviously, sights are set higher. I had an inkling, a thought that Jonathan Taylor was going to be special. Really liked him in Wisconsin. I like him even more in the NFL. He seems to really understand the assignment. But yeah, big win for the Colts. The hits keep coming though. Get to host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next week, and man, I would love to be at that game. But yeah, like I said, road win, a meaningful win, right? So you're gonna hear the pundits start talking about meaningful wins as a meaningful win. This is a payback. This is revenge. All that stuff, all bottled into one. So it's good to see the Colts exact revenge. Go over 500 for the first time in a while, and hope to keep it going and keep knocking them down. That Patriots game in a couple weeks looks really important, doesn't it? Now that you sort of look ahead, I hate to do that, right? Would love to just beat the Bucks, beat the Texans, be 8-5. But that Patriots game, that Cardinals game is sort of looming. So yeah, now that I sort of look ahead, it's hey, if you could take care of business against the Bucks, that sets you up for a big meaningful game the week before Christmas against the Patriots, and then of course you got to follow that up. So like I said, the problem with playing poor early is now every game is super meaningful. Which puts a lot of stress on guys, which could potentially shorten careers. It's a whole philosophy of like personnel management. Um, that maybe someday I'll get to employ. But yeah, got to be really, really happy if you're a Colts fan. We've been talking about running the damn ball, and did we ever? Right? This has been Jared with Stampede Blue. This has been your Indianapolis Colts post-game wrap. Hey, have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of the games. We'll see you after next week's game.